We have 2 full hours ahead of us, as always. We will discuss many topics with our distinguished guests. Of course, our priority is Trump, statements by Putin and Zelensky. As you know from Zelensky, today we had a meeting of European leaders and they went home. It was actually a show of support for Zelensky on the one hand. Macron and Trump also met. In the imminent minutes, we are going to delve into the content of their speeches. There will be additional subjects as well, and we will thoroughly deliberate upon all of them. Who will join us in this discussion? Journalist Gungor Yavuz Aslan is with us. Mr. Gungor, welcome.
How
are you? Are you well?
How about yourself?
I am also doing well, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Chara Bilir from Yildiz Technical University. It is a pleasure to have Dr. Mohammed Chara here with us.
Welcome, thank you. How
are you? Are you okay?
I'm doing well, thank you. And you?
I'm fine, thank you. We're much better now that we've seen you. Now we'll also look at the statements from Trump. We will look at the statements from Zelensky. What did the European Union side say? On the one hand, will these crackling voices between Europe and the US be heard at a higher volume? Or will it become a little bit less intense? Will it calm down? Because Zelensky said yesterday that the European Union should be at the table. And yesterday he said it especially emphatically. And what did Trump say? He said he was ready to go to Moscow at the appropriate time. Then he said Zelensky could come to the White House. Especially, of course, there is the issue of mines. What do you think? On the one hand, as it is written below, this is Trump's sentence. Putin said that Europe will accept the peacekeeping force, but Putin was much tougher on this last year. In fact, he was always keeping the nuclear issue alive, that this could be considered a reason for war, because he was saying that there could be a direct attack on Russia. Mr. Gungor, let's start with you. Let me first ask you to read all these things as proof for now.
Now, the European peacekeeping force is not a peacekeeping force as we know it. They are talking about a ceasefire monitoring force. The concept of peacekeeping has many dimensions, Shara Hocham will explain. But this is the peacekeeping force in Putin and Trump's Ukraine bargain, not the protection of Ukraine from the Russian threat if a Kiev administration, if they can get a ceasefire agreed, observing the ceasefire. It's like they are observing and writing a report. This, of course, must be military. Already 2014, after the first Ukrainian war, Agita has already been endorsed by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. As part of a treaty, I'm not authorized to carry out such a mission. There was. Now, Trump is a man who is there every day or every other day. He is making a statement on Ukraine, especially in Riyadh. Today, after the Foreign Ministers' Summit, the Foreign Minister of the Russian Federation is in Ankara. He said he had informed Turkey, but Ukraine after day one. Now, there are some interesting things here. Maybe we will talk a little later. Putin's talking. This is a 26-character text. Yet Trump says, Kiev's leadership says, don't talk about Ukraine's mines and let us do the same. Now, right now, Russian companies, he says U.S. companies have started negotiations for Ukrainian mines. Look, this is a very important detail. Then it's not Zelensky. A bargaining table is established. Right now, both the G7 summit and because of his visit to the White Black, this is the first time Macron has traveled so far to Europe at a high level. They are interfering in this process. A conference on Crimea yesterday.
It is also the first by a European leader since he took office.
Yes, that's his visit, and the first one he accepted was the Zionist. Netanyahu became the butcher of Gaza. We should not forget him. The president of Poland was also present, but not the first.
On a European basis.
The president of Poland, he even kept him waiting for an hour and a half. There's a terrible crisis in Poland right now. What we saw in Riyadh was a framework agreement on Ukraine. The problem is Zelensky. Zelensky has 2 alternatives, the one that is imposed at the moment. He will come and give concessions to those mines that Trump wants. In other words, Trump is trying to get into Ukraine's mines. I will explain a little later. We are talking about mines, but what are these mines? Now we are talking about Ukraine's mines. And what are these? Why do both sides want these mines so much? Actually, we should discuss that too. Or Zelensky will continue to fight. A third option is, if Russia and the U.S. cannot get rid of Zelensky, they can make Zelensky's foot slip. There are many ways to do this.